Hey friends, welcome to episode 21 of the Streamlined Motherhood podcast. Today we're talking about rising above values vulnerability. So this is a concept I coined in which the choice to live by your values, especially if they're out of the box or unusual within your extended family or community, can make you feel more vulnerable in making that choice. If you're ready for a new path for your family, but you're feeling just a little bit afraid, this episode is for you. I'll teach you exactly how to overcome feeling vulnerable or judged by others for your choices, and instead to feel strength and joy in becoming who you're meant to be. This is the Streamlined Motherhood podcast. I'm Kate Saffel, certified Simplicity Parenting family life coach and mom of 3. I'm here to guide you back to your intuition, to help you overcome daily overwhelm, and to start feeling confident in the mama and woman you are. Each episode, I'll share tips and encouragement for thriving on your motherhood journey, because this life you're living is way too important to put on autopilot. What really inspired me to do this episode are the number of private conversations I have with other women about the life that they want to live with their family, but are either fearful of doing or are currently experiencing the backlash from their extended family or community. These women confide in me since I kind of have a reputation for taking risks and choosing alternative paths for my family, and that is true. As a family, we have often chosen very unusual paths, such as purposefully living in a 675 square foot house as a family of 5, or traveling the U.S. for a year in an RV. And I know that we will continue to make these out-of-the-box decisions because we know that to live out of alignment with our values is not a life worth living. But why would anyone not live by their values? I mean, if there's certain things you care deeply about, why would you not make that your family's North Star? That, my friends, is the reason for this episode. In my experience, the main reason why a family wouldn't be living by their values is because of the increase in vulnerability they'll experience in making that choice. And here's why. Humans are very tribal in nature, meaning that historically, humans have remained alive by staying with a tribe of people that protect one another from danger. To wander off from the pack could mean serious danger from animals, injury, starvation, etc. A person who was too different from the rest of the tribe may have been seen as dangerous and isolated or removed from the group. So it was necessary to do whatever it took to stay within the group and be accepted. It's that mindset that is hardwired into our genes and also what makes us so good at being part of community groups, such as schools for our children, our workplace, our places of worship, and even within the labels of being mothers or women. We know what is expected of us within all of those cultural and social groups, and as long as we play by the rules, we get to stay in those neat and tidy groups. Those rules are really good at keeping you safe and can also be really good at keeping you from your true growth and potential. So what if you don't want to play by the rules anymore? What if you're feeling an increasing distance between what you truly believe and also what you see those around you doing? It can feel incredibly lonely to have a vision for how you'd like to do life and know that it may not be accepted by your family or friends. So in this episode, I'm going to teach you 5 steps to overcoming the vulnerability that you may experience when you go all in on your dream life. Are you ready? So here they are. 1, get clear on your values. 2, visualize the outcome. 3, practice saying it out loud. 4, surround yourself with like-minded people. And 5, live it daily. Okay, guys, great episode. I will see you next week. Just kidding. Okay, I'm going to unpack all of that, right? So, okay, first step is I want you to get totally clear on your family's values. You may already know what you care deeply about, or maybe you're not entirely sure, but you know something is off with the way you're currently doing life. I remember back in 2014, I had just had my second baby, and I had that exact same feeling. We had everything we were supposed to want, like 2 healthy kids, a nice starter home in a historic neighborhood, good jobs, and community. I just couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. When I was a kid, I always envisioned myself leading an adventurous and powerful life full of escapades and exploration. In other words, I was always the heroine of my childhood fantasies. And now as an adult, I wasn't even in the supporting role. My life had become background noise and monotonous. I would berate myself daily, telling myself to just be content already. Others would love to have my life, so get over it. Have you ever talked to yourself that way too? That's not a good way of doing life. Because here's the deal. It doesn't matter how good your life is. If you're feeling like a square peg in a round hole, something has got to give. It's scary. You're going to feel that fear all the way down in your bones. But the alternative is living someone else's life and having regret when you reach the end of it. And so I chose the fear. We decided to move cross country and buy a tiny house right next to Lake Michigan where we could live slower, be in nature, and actually practice what we had always preached. So for us, that was, having this hyper-local lifestyle where we could shop in our community and go as zero waste as possible, and we walked and biked pretty much everywhere. There were lots of tears when we uprooted from our first home, which I'm sure you can maybe relate is this like really hard to give up that first place that you have all those memories. But I'm telling you, it was 100% worth it. So step 1, get clear on your values and why you want the life that you desire so much. Step 2 is to visualize the outcome. So you now know your values, hopefully, but what will that look like for you day to day? As adults, we're often afraid to daydream, but it's the act of visualizing what you desire that will create it in your reality. Let me say that again. The act of visualization will create what you desire in real life. I still do this daily in my morning journaling. I'll write out what I visualize for us as if it is already happening. This means to see things in the present tense, even though it's not quite your reality. I know it sounds a bit woo-woo, but I promise this stuff works. The more you can feel what you desire, to see how it will be life-changing for your family, the greater your resiliency will grow and the less vulnerable you'll feel to others' opinions. So your homework is to start writing down daily what you dream of for your family and really see it as coming true. Now, step 3 is the scary part. You have to start saying it out loud. Share it with people you trust who will support you and not call you crazy. Remind yourself that you didn't do all the work of identifying your values and visualizing your dream life to give up now. The reason you share it out loud is that you're making a spoken commitment to the life you're choosing. So for me, whenever I'm playing with a new direction for our family and I get through the first 2 steps, I'll start mentioning our plans casually to people. I'll weave it into conversation like it's no big deal. In my mind, it's already happened, so there's no anxiety, no fear. And by stepping up in courage, I'm overcoming my own vulnerability about the radical choice that we're about to make. Now, I have lots of practice doing this, and at first it wasn't easy for me. I so feared others' judgment of our choices. My internal view of myself was predicated on how others externally viewed me. Can you relate to that as well? So my constant inner monologue was about my worries of what so-and-so would say or think, or even when I thought others thought of me. So complicated, so unnecessary. Let me clue you in on a little secret. You actually have zero idea of what's going on in other people's heads unless you're just crazy intuitive or clairvoyant, and even then you probably don't even really know. So quit wasting your precious mental energy worrying about something that may not even be true. Instead, you double down on your own belief of what's possible and make sure your thoughts reflect the values that you're choosing to live by. Step 4 is to surround yourself with other like-minded people. This step is critical because it'll show your mind that 1, you're not alone, and 2, your ideas aren't so crazy. When I suggest this, your brain may tell you that there's no one else out there doing what you're doing, but that is completely untrue. Your brain is afraid and trying to protect you and convince you to get back into the tribe. You need to ignore it. Whether you find others in person or online, I promise you your community of like-minded families does exist. 5 years ago, when we first got the idea to travel full-time, I decided to do 2 things. 1, I started my Instagram and shared my dreams about travel. We weren't even doing it yet and actually wouldn't for 3 more years, but I knew I had to surround myself with other travelers and that inspiration. And then, this was kind of scary for me, but I would DM families that inspired me most and either ask them questions or just show them appreciation for being bold and sharing their story. The more appreciation we can give others that are farther along the path than us, the more we will invite that energy and forward movement into our own lives. Gratitude and appreciation are powerful tools, my friends. So for you, ask yourself where you can find your people and then start reaching out. This again may make you feel vulnerable, but I promise you that anyone who has intentionally chosen a different path than the status quo is more than likely quite happy to encourage others. I also started my private Facebook group for moms called Streamlined Motherhood as an inspiring group for women to be bold in living their values and turning their dreams into reality. So I absolutely welcome you to come join the amazing group of women already in the group and share your dream. I promise you that you'll be supported and loved all the more for it. Finally, the last step is to live your values daily. This is where you take the thoughts that you've been holding, combine them with the words you're saying, and allow them to influence your daily actions. Ask yourself, what can I do today to get me one step closer to fully living out my family's values? Sometimes we think we have to make some major leap for it to count, but living out values is found in the tiniest of steps, whether that's making a purchase you've been putting off but gets you one step closer to your dream, or saying no to a responsibility that doesn't. Run every decision up against your values and then live by them. By doing this again, you're strengthening yourself against the vulnerability you may experience otherwise. And let me just say this about vulnerability. The reason you feel it is because you may not truly believe in yourself and your vision for your life. If you 100% believed, you wouldn't care what others think about you and your decisions. I know that this is easier said than done, so if you're still struggling with feeling vulnerable and judged, go back to the first 2 steps of this plan and focus again on getting clear on why you're choosing to live by your values and visualize the outcome of doing so. Strengthen yourself. Believe so hard in yourself and your family's choices that others' opinions of you don't stand a chance because you're so committed to the path you've chosen. Okay, mamas, one final note of encouragement. I believe in you so much and the vision you hold for your family. Don't be discouraged by others, but be strengthened in knowing that the closer you get to living your values, the stronger and more resilient you'll become as a family. This is your one life to live. Don't allow others to decide it for you. Thank you so much for listening and being part of this community of resilient, values-driven mamas changing the world one family at a time. I'll see you next time.